Is there anybody in here? If so, say hi to us.
Ooh.
Hello, everyone. Is there anybody in here? If so, say hi to us. Hello, everyone. Is there anybody in here? If so, say hi to us. Hello, everyone. Oh gosh, sorry.
Oh shit! Sorry. I forgot I had it pulled up on that. I'm trying to.
It was just stuck on repeat.
I was hearing it, but I was like, "Where's the sound coming from?"
I was like, I made my stop.
Okay, I can get it on my phone so I can see the live chat. There we go.
We have Night Fear here. Brittany's here. Berna's Bookish Adventures are here. So yeah, we have a couple of people. So learning this new software was very tricky, and yeah. So we're kind of running a little bit late, but we did want to start this on time. And we're working on getting Miss Adriana Mather here with us and getting her like into the live broadcast. Everything was kind of gotten finished at like the last minute. So we figured we would take these first 10 minutes to just greet everybody, give chance for people to come in, and also get Adriana in here. I'm going to post on Twitter real quick that we are live. Yay.
Also, hi guys. I don't know if you heard me say hi a minute ago. I'm trying to mess with my phone. Because it won't play our video, so that I don't know if the comments are live or if they're what.
The comments are live.
Well, my phone's being stupid right now.
You should see 3 comments. The last one's Berna's Bookish Adventures saying hi.
Hi, Berna. There we go. There we go. The video's now playing. Cool. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Melissa. Berna is part of the Back of the Bookshelf book club, which we read Killing November for that book club. So
okay.
They could come join us if they wanted to at any time.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. Adriana is coming. We're working on trying to get her into here right now. Oh, add her to the stream. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hey, girl.
Yay.
I couldn't get this to work on my laptop. This is very strange. Okay, here we go. I could not get it to work on my laptop, so hopefully this is okay. We'll see.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to see about like how you arrange this. Oh, no, I don't like that. I like that one.
I was like, if we make anyone large, it should be Adriana, not us. They're us. And we're also learning on how to use this new thing.
Yes, because this is the first time we've ever used this software before, because YouTube changed everything, as they do often.
Yeah, this camera is strange. It's like it doesn't matter where you hold it, the thing moves. It's odd, but hopefully I don't make anyone dizzy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Adriana. This is awesome. I have your book right here. It's naked.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
I have a naked cover because I'm actually traveling and I brought your book along with me. I'm in my hotel room in Key Largo.
Oh, nice. I'm actually traveling as well. I'm at my mother's in Connecticut, so I'm in her spare bedroom.
Yeah, I finished it today. I loved it. It was amazing. It's a 5-star read for me.
Thank you.
And I'm like, it's a series, right?
It is. The next book comes out in spring, May.
Yeah. It's all that it got pushed to.
Yeah.
I have it on my board. May 5th.
May 5th, exactly.
I have it on my pre-order list.
It's 2 days before my birthday.
Really?
Yeah, my birthday's May 7th.
Oh, that's awesome. It's
And
So
then
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Oh, yay. Yeah, it comes out on the Day of the Dead, which feels really on brand for me.
That's, yeah.
I also just want to know now what all this belladonna is about after your mom tweeted about belladonna roots. Now I'm just, or not tweeted, Facebooked about the belladonna roots. I'm like, what does belladonna have to do with the book now? Ugh, I needs to know.
Yeah, poisons. Lots of poisons, that's for sure.
Night Fear wants to know, do we know how many books will be in the series?
Right now, there's 2. We don't know past that. There seems to be this trend in YA where they love to buy 2 books in a series. Yes, indeed. And then they sort of decide after that what they want to do.
So, we wanted to give, everybody a little bit of a time to get in here and just kind of say hi to everybody. And I don't know if you actually know this or not, Adriana, but we've been doing Readathon this week, and it was the Fall into Reading-a-thon. And your book is our group book. And we wanted to take the first couple of.
Updated.
You've been reading?
Oh no, Clint keeps me updated. So.
Oh.
When I found out this was going to be the group read, I think I texted her at like 11 or around midnight. And I was like, you're probably asleep, but I just thought I'd let you know this fun information. It's like, hello.
Oh my gosh, we decided to read your book like forever ago.
It was actually decided back in the spring-a-thon. Spring into Reading-a-thon when we were reading How to Hang a Witch. And I told everyone the name of the book, and they were like, November. Let's do it for fall. I was like, okay.
Not knowing that November is actually a person.
Right. Well, I mean, it feels right to have a character named November because all my books are like fall themed books with like spooky things and murder. So I feel like having a character named November just makes perfect sense for me. I should probably have a cat named October too, but
that'd be great. It would need to be black.
That would be awesome.
It would need to be a black cat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he can go right next to Brooms, so.
I actually wrote Broom based off my cousin's black cat, who is like a Neanderthal. Like he's just, I've never met a cat like him before, but he will literally stand and lick a bag for like 25 minutes until you take it away from him, or Christmas presents or something. He'll just lick them for like ever. It's a very weird animal, but I thought he needed to be in a book, so that's where Broom came from.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask everybody before we got into like the meat and potatoes and the all of the book stuff and answering questions about the books, how everybody's readathon actually has gone, and if everybody is being successful with their reading challenges.
Okay, as a host, I will say this is not the best week for me. I mean, I have finished 3 things, but do I really count Killing November, seeing as this is like the 5th or 6th time I've read it this year?
It counts. Rereads count.
Rereads count. They still take time.
Other than that, I've only finished 2 books.
I think I have finished 5 books.
Hey, that's
3.
great.
Yeah, 3 were graphic novels. 1 was Little Monsters by Kara Thomas, and then Killing November. And I'm most of the way through Going Bovine by Libba Bray.
How do you like that?
Going Bovine?
Uh-huh.
Very interesting. I'm really liking it. I'm kind of expecting something to happen from where I'm at in the story, but I don't know.
At least it was the group book, Melissa. Just saying. Sorry, I'm reading chats. Night Fear's only finished one, and it's killing November. And anyways, also Night Fear, if you finished it at 5 a.m., you should have texted me because I would have responded the minute I woke up today.
Brittany's finished 2 books. She's in the middle of 2 books, How to Hang a Witch and Stay Sweet. Yes, we've also said if people weren't able to get Killing November, that they could just read one of your other books.
Oh yeah, they all have a good theme for, I mean, especially the witchy stuff. So yeah, no problem.
I haven't actually gotten to the second one in the
Haunting the Deep.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet. I have it because Clint sent it to me, but I haven't read it yet. I read How to Hang a Witch and now Killing November.
Speaking of How to Hang a Witch, I had a question that technically Jillian, me, Jessica, and Felicia kind of like were blending this question for multiple different people. Is How to Hang a Witch and Killing November in the same universe?
Oh, yes, definitely.
And would you ever be willing to do a crossover?
You know, it's funny because this just came up when I was speaking this weekend, and yeah, I would. I'm not sure how it would work yet, but I think they would get along. I think November and Sam would get along.
I wonder which family. I wonder which family Sam would fit in.
But my thing is I don't know if it would be Sam that would be one of them. What if it's Jackson?
Right. Or Elijah.
Or both of them.
Or Elijah, yes. Or could be even more of a twist, bring Savannah and give Savannah more, because she's awesome and she's my favorite of the Descendants.
Well, yeah, she's one of my favorites too, actually. I agree with you. Although I love Alice because she's got such a bad attitude. I really love the characters who are difficult. They're the most fun to write. But Haunting the Deep, I'll tell you, Melanie, so I wrote How to Hang a Witch, and I could tell you that story, but I'll just say that after I wrote that book, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted my second one to be about. And I was visiting my grandmother, and she has all of these old letters from like the 17 and 1800s, and they're like letters that are, it's an uncle wrote his niece at boarding school, or someone wrote to their cousin telling them how the other family members had gotten married, etc. Like all these snippets of people's lives. And in this stack of letters, there was an envelope, and in the on top of the envelope was sprawled the word Titanic. And I thought, oh, how interesting. My great grandmother was an amateur historian, and so she collected all kinds of things from our family, but she also collected things like old newspapers. So I assumed when I saw Titanic that it was definitely going to be some old newspapers, which is still awesome, right? And so I opened it up, and inside there were newspapers, but there was also a letter, and the letter was from my relatives in New York City to my great grandmother, telling her how my ancestors survived the Titanic.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was a letter that never got published, even though those relatives were pretty public figures. They were the Harpers of Harper and Row Publishing before it was HarperCollins.
Wow, that's cool.
And I thought, oh my goodness, I had no idea that I was related, number one, to the Harpers. And I had just sold my first book, and I thought, this is a sign. I have to write my second book about ghosts from the Titanic. And and my favorite thing is that the book includes this letter, which no one had seen before it got published here.
What would have been really like a really interesting twist of fate is if it was HarperCollins that had published your book.
I know. And then I wonder if it would be like a conflict of interest. I have no idea. Yeah, I thought about that, but I love Random House, so we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a. I saw some of that information on. Clint did a vlog when he went to Salem,
Oh
and
Where
yeah.
your entire speech is in the vlog.
yeah, and so some of that you had said actually in that video, so I got to see that. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, I brought this book with me on the boat because I'm
Uh-huh.
here in Key Largo to scuba dive,
Ooh.
and I had this on the boat, and I was like trying to hide in this little corner and read and not get the book all wet. And so people
Oh.
are like, that must be a really good book. And I'm like, it is. And then I start telling them about this book, and I start telling them about your other books, and I start telling them about
Aw.
all your family history, like your family being steeped in so much history.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so much of it.
And I'm telling everybody, you got to come and see her in the live show.
Oh, well, thanks. That's super fun. The Yeah, Killing November was a funny detour. It still has a lot of history, like weird history.
And I love the history that's in it. I'm not a huge history person, but I love the really cool little history facts that are throughout it that are like blended so well into the story. I think that's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, I tried to pick out the most bizarre things that had happened in history, but the short stuff, the stuff that you could read in a paragraph and be like, whoa, did that really happen? Because I feel like the whole nature of the school that November's at, with the deception and the poisons and the long legacies of families, there's a little bit of, even though there's no actual magic, there's the feeling that there's something a little magical about it. And so that sort of bizarre history, even though it's true, I feel like pulled out that feeling of magic. Like these strange things really do happen.
Yeah, there was a part yesterday. We were actually sitting at the restaurant, and I'm with this big group of people. There's like 30 of us in this group, and we're all sitting at this restaurant eating, and I have my book out. And I'm reading at the table, and I stopped and I was telling my mom because my mom is here diving with me, and
Oh, how fun.
and I was like, I commented on the history that's in this book and how it weaves like throughout the story, and I read a part to her there at the table, and it was about Pope Gregory the Ninth saying that all of that cats were come from the devil or something like that, and that so he was having them killed all over Europe, which in turn made there not be a predator for the rats, which caused an overpopulation of rats, which in turn caused the bubonic plague, and then how these characters intertwined into that actual story. And she was like, "That's so cool."
See,
Yeah, and he killed the cats, and then millions of people died from the plague. Like it's like
Kill some cats, 20 million people die.
Yeah.
the thing that I thought was fascinating with the history is at the very beginning when it's Layla talking to November when they're next to what are they called? Oh, like the shields and stuff. And she's like, well, this one belongs to so and so's chambermaid. So and so's this, so and so's this. And I'm like, a chambermaid. So random, but perfect.
Yeah, well, the idea with the characters from this school is that they're not the public figures. They're the people who quietly lurk in important places by being a nanny or a best friend or an advisor and sort of mold the world in the way they want to, but they never have a public face. They're never the president or the pope they're always someone else manipulating and pulling strings.
For me, whenever I read a book like this or like a thriller or something, I hate when halfway through the book or a third of the way through the book or even 2/3 of the way through the book, I have figured it out and I know what's going on and who's done what and all of that. I did not know what was going on.
I
Oh,
told
good.
you. I
I
told
was
you.
guessing,
Do not trust anybody.
I
Do
was
not
guessing
trust
the whole
anybody.
time.
Yeah,
I was guessing the whole time and would not have been able to figure it out at all.
that makes me happy. It's a hard thing writing mysteries and thrillers because there's a fine line between giving people enough information and giving them not enough to know important pieces. So you should always feel like you're gaining something each step of the way, but you should still feel like, oh no, I still don't know exactly what's going on. And so that's one of those things that I always have to look to my editor for, because I am never quite clear. She's like, oh, we get this 100%. I'm like, oh really? You just don't know as the author terribly well.
I will state this: your book are the first books where I didn't guess the ultimate bad guy who they were.
Oh, good.
Because I'm so into like detective mystery shows that when I read thrillers and stuff, if I don't know who it is by halfway through, it's a really good book. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I usually get it at the beginning. I'm like, well, it's probably going to end up being this person. With the crow lady or the crow woman, I knew that I should have known that one, but that was like a smack in the face in the end. Like, the hell?
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to say names, but a certain someone broke my heart.
I know. Mine too.
Even though there's also a secret couple in this book that I know is probably not an actual couple, but I want them to be.
Berna says that they didn't guess the reveal. Guess who was doing what until 5 pages before the reveal.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
I think around that point is when they start giving all when you start giving all the hints on who did it.
that's the other thing with writing mysteries and thrillers, is that you need a lot of characters, because if you don't have a lot of characters, there's like 2 or 3 to choose from, and you can usually narrow it down to one of
I
them.
could see this full cast of people in my head the whole time.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Speaking of characters, if said Killing November was made into a movie or a TV show, and you were offered to play the part of a professor, which of the professors would you want to play? I was kind of curious as I was rereading it. I could see you as like 2 different people, and I wanted to know what your answer would be for that.
I don't. I'm trying. Well, the problem with that is that they're all from different countries, and so most of them have accents that I absolutely cannot do.
Yes, but their accents aren't necessarily the accents that are actually their accents.
That's true. That's true.
So they can have a British accent, but
British, I think so. That would be okay. I mean, my favorite teacher is the poisons teacher. She's my favorite. And I love, actually, one of the teachers that I love, this would probably be it, is in the second book, there is a teacher of a class called Mind Games. And she's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
See, when I was reading it, I could see you as either the poisons teacher or the archery teacher, just with the attitude.
Oh.
That one scene at the beginning when they first enter, just the attitude. I pictured her as you in that split second, and I was like, I could see this. Especially after seeing like how many of your movies? I've got 2 out of 3 right here.
Oh, well, thanks.
So like,
what about Headmaster Blackwell?
oh, I could see that too.
I love that.
But I could see your mom more as that.
I don't know if I could pull her off, but
just a really tight bun.
Pretty cool. Yeah. You would you have to have a really cold, sort of calculating look to get her. Like, you want to be a little scared of Headmaster Blackwood. You want to feel uncomfortable when she looks at you.
She reminds me a lot of Minerva McGonagall. In the sense
actually,
like, I could see, I was picturing Dame Maggie Smith as her, giving that full-on glare, like, I can't believe you.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, underneath it is a softie.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm. Berna says it was so good to meet a character with a Turkish surname.
Berna's from Turkey.
Oh,
with a Turkish surname.
Oh, yeah. There's so many characters, and I tried to include as many countries as I could. I still don't have them all, obviously, just because I would need a bazillion characters to get everyone in, but I tried my very best to get some diversity there, but also in keeping with the old empires and everything, which is another sort of boundary I had with the history.
I really liked November breaking down the names and what the names meant and how those names fit perfectly with them.
I'm so glad. In the second book, in Hunting November, I reincorporated that and let her figure out a couple of things based on names, because I feel like that's a skill she has that's unusual and maybe wouldn't be useful like in your daily life, but if you're trying to understand who people are and you're trying to uncover secrets, it could be very useful.
And I found it fascinating because the fact that she didn't grow up in this world, her doing little things like that, which is out of the norm for certain people, it was like she did it to calm her own nerves, because she's like, well, this person's name could be broke down from this because I'm nervous and my brain's automatically doing it.
Right.
So it almost gave it like an OCD representation almost of how breaking it down calms her down. And I liked how that was like so subtle that it worked perfectly.
Yeah, she sort of falls back on some habits in order to find structure in this new chaos. That was one of the fun things about writing November, is that she's an extrovert. And she's a happy extrovert from a small town with best friends and a loving family. And essentially the exact opposite of not only everyone at the academy, but also what you expect from a secret society assassin type person. So it put her immediately at odds with all these other people, because she's like, hey, can we be friends? And they're like, get away from me, so that was a fun thing to write. I also enjoyed writing an extrovert in general, because it was I'm an introvert, so that was a different experience for me.
The games that she played as a kid, especially the stuffed animal game, I love that.
Oh, good.
How she learned the things that
right
they were learning in the school without really knowing she was learning something. She was just playing.
Right. There's more of that in the second book as well. And the problem is always page count here. Like, I can only include so many things in each story. It drives me crazy. But in Hunting November, I spend a little bit more time with her mom and her dad. So you get to see a little bit more of the family and how she grew up and why she is the way she is. So that was important to me, because I felt like I didn't have enough space in Killing November to really tackle all of the things she had learned and why she was the way that she was. But I do enjoy a good flashback. They're in all my books.
Yeah. I like the overhearing her thought, remembering back to something her dad or her aunt or her mom said or did, and how it's relating that moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
That and it helped her solve a lot of things. That was one of the, I wanted a character who was prepared, but not too prepared. And also one who could find things in herself to trust, like these stories and these bits about her family are really about November knowing that there's something within her and in her experience that she can trust and that she can do things herself. Like I really wanted a character that was strong that way.
Yeah, and like the as a kid being sneaky, trying to listen in on her dad and aunt and failed to sneak in on them.
Oh yeah.
And instead
Yeah.
of getting in trouble for being sneaky, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is why you don't do it that way.
Yep. And everything became a game. I mean, and the funny thing is that all the other strategia were taught these lessons as strategy, but not as fun. And November was taught as games and fun, the same things. And so her relationship to those skills is totally different. She doesn't think about them in terms of, oh, you use these to manipulate and hurt other people. She thinks like, these are cool skills that I have. Like you can do fun things with them. So,
They're like, they'll come in handy maybe one day.
yeah, right.
I'm just having fun.
It's like, woohoo, knife throwing, yay!
Okay, speaking of the knife throwing, Jessica wanted me to ask you a question.
Okay.
Because she tried to get Jillian to ask it last weekend, and Jillian didn't. How do you feel knowing that you're probably on the FBI's watch list due to your Killing November research?
Definitely.
Okay. There was a long time that my phone would click because I was pretty sure that people were recording my phone calls, and that's okay. I mean, there's really not anything interesting going on. It's mainly me on the phone with like my mother being like, I love you. So really, I'm not that interesting of a specimen when it comes to listening in on my phone calls. I pretty much have no secrets, but yeah, I feel okay about it. Let them listen.
I think a lot of authors that write murder type stories probably find themselves on this. I've actually heard that question asked to a bunch of different authors in the past, and because of some of the bizarre random things they have to search for.
Like, imagine
she's like, yeah, I'm definitely on a couple of lists.
Can you imagine Stephen King and Karen Slaughter? Just think of those two authors alone.
Oh yeah. Well, you wind up searching very specific, strange stuff. Like what is the difference between cutting someone with glass as opposed to cutting them with a knife? Like how are the incisions different? Things like that it's
and a straight edge knife versus serrated knife.
Yeah, it's so creepy, but it's things that you need to know for really specific details. That's the other weird thing about writing is that so much is researched, especially when you build a world like that or your characters have skills that you don't have. Like all those characters are smarter than me and know more about deception than I do and know about weapons. I mean, I don't even know, like if I had to punch someone, I'd be deeply confused. I'm like, where do I put my hand? Like, I don't know how it works. So having to write those things is a whole research nightmare. Like you can spend an hour reading about something and then literally write half a page and you're like, really? So you can get bogged down. Like sometimes the writing takes way longer because of all the research.
I love how the one time she's got the first time she's got to punch somebody, she's like, I'm not punching them in the face, even though she just got punched in the face. She's like, I'm not punching them in the face.
I mean, who wants it? It's like nuts. Like, who wants to do it? No.
But I will say I like the fact that she twisted it and just kicked him in the nads.
Yeah, that felt right anyway, because he was like really insulting her.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about it because I was thinking about, like, from someone who had never punched anyone, if you were going to, you would definitely worry about hurting your hand. Like, you can't just hit people and not hurt your hand. So
And also doing that with people watching, and say you go and punch somebody for the first time ever, punching somebody and flop and just kind of,
totally.
embarrass yourself.
Oh yeah. And November is constantly worried about everyone in the school knowing that she's inexperienced. So anything that would present her as like an easy target was like probably the scariest stuff for her.
So I have a
I
question.
have a cat who is trying to.
Oh, hello, kitty.
It's my mom's cat.
So what inspired you? Like, I know what inspired you with How to Hang a Witch and stuff, but what inspired you for Killing November?
It actually, this doesn't usually happen, but the story concept came to me in a dream. And I woke up and I had a title and a tagline, neither of which exists today, but it was the basic idea of the book, plus it was called Phantom High, and the tagline was
it's in here.
Yeah. And it was Phantom High for the kids who don't exist. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be a fun story. But of course, my editor was like, everyone's going to think it's about ghosts because of your other books. And I was like, that's a very good point. Let's change
That is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is very, very different from the witchy ones, because you don't have there's no magic or actual magic or ghosts or any of that stuff. Yeah. So at least not yet, anyway.
Even though I kept expecting a witch to appear out of nowhere and be like, I'm behind it all.
Well, there is an apothecary in the second book, which is not a witch and not magic, but definitely has that old world sort of magical feel about it, So
it's funny that you mentioned you dreamed it, and because I actually had this experience of I woke up, I had this dream of a story, and I woke up and I immediately wrote my husband the general idea of this story. He's like, oh, that's really cool. Who wrote that? And I was like, no one. He's like, well, you should. And I was like, I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out.
You should.
And so I'm like,
should.
I've actually told Clint my ideas of my story and stuff. And I've told my daughter, and I'm like so excited because I have a full story in my head.
That's awesome.
Starting mine in January.
I didn't know how to write a book before I wrote one either. And I made a lot of mistakes, which is fine. If you listen to the other thing, then you know that when I wrote How to Hang a Witch, I was really excited about it. And I gave it to people in the literary industry who read it and said, oh, we love your voice. We love the concept, but the structure is all wrong. And I was like, what do you mean by all? And they were like, all. As in change the story, as in rewrite the plot. And I was like, what? And so then
we love it, but
yeah, but that was actually one of those big turning points in my life. So if I had let my ego get in the way at that point and said, like, forget it, I'm just going to keep it the way it is, I would not have the career that I have right now. So my ability to throw my ego aside in that moment, I'm so grateful, because I rewrote that book from the first page to the last. And that is the book that sold, that's How to Hang a Witch, that sold and started my career. But I got it all wrong in the beginning. So it's okay to get it wrong. Sometimes mistakes are the best learning experience.
Well, on the publishing side of it, how did it go for you? Like, how long did it take you to write your first book, How to Hang a Witch? And then once you wrote it, how long did it take before you actually had a published book?
Right. Let's see here. Okay, so I wrote it and then I went through 4 outlines, the last of which was 30 pages long before I rewrote it. And so that whole process of the 4 outlines and the rewriting took me about a year, which is funny because I wrote that book initially in like 2 months, very fast, and was like, yay, amazing. And then spent a year rewriting it. And then, but because I took a full year and because I was really intentional with my plot at that point, I got an agent after that in a couple of weeks. And then my agent, who I love so much, sold my book in 48 hours, which is insane. That is not normal. No one should ever expect that. It just was one of those happy things where she was like, I know exactly the person for this. And I know exactly how this is going to go. And because I had already done all that revision work, it went really fast. However,
That's awesome.
I'm so grateful. It was amazing. I was actually at the beach in California, and I got a phone call from my agent, and I thought, oh, she's calling to tell me that she got all the submissions out, because it was a Friday and she had been submitting on that Wednesday. And so I was like, but that's interesting. She wants me to call her back on a Friday evening. Okay, that's fine. So I called her back and she said, are you sitting down? And I was like, oh no, what happened? Everyone hated it. They decided right away. They saw it. They were like, no. And then she told me that we had a preempt, and it was like my heart exploded. It was amazing. One of the best moments of my life, of my career life. I think my best moments are probably saved for family, but of my career life, that was it. That was the biggest moment. And then after that, so the thing is with subsequent books, they bought 2, but the second one wasn't written. So I had to write a proposal for it and give them about 75 pages so they could see the concept. And I was lucky because they loved Haunting the Deep and the concept of seeing ghosts from the Titanic, and that went smoothly. From there on, and books take about 2 years. So you sell a book and you're like, yay, it's going to be out in like a second. And then it's like your contract says that it's going to be published 2 years later. And you're like, 2 years. But you use all that time. You have to. With the edits and the design elements and the PR, it takes 2 years. And now I'm about to I'll have my 4th book come out in a few months, and I am writing 2 more at present, and I literally cannot write as fast as my brain is coming up with ideas, which did not used to be the case. Like when I started, it was one idea, and then I worked for that second one, and then the third one came easier. And it's funny because the more you spend time thinking about book ideas, the faster they come. So now I'm just trying to now I have notes in my phone about every crazy thing that I want to write about.
Nifer asked, do you think it would be better to publish your books on your own?
For me, no. However, for some people, yes. So that's a personal. It also depends on what genre you write in. So I write in like contemporary or that has paranormal elements. Yeah. Well, I think it's technically paranormal, but nobody says that. So they say contemporary with historical and magical elements. And then for Killing November, I'd say that that's probably also contemporary, but with light fantasy. So if you write in romance, there's a lot of self-published romance that does really, really well, but the genres that I write in do not do as well self-published. So it kind of depends. I'm also don't think that I could take on that workload. It's a lot of work to self-publish. And it's already a lot to write and then to edit and do all the other things. But when you have to do all the promotional stuff yourself, it's tough.
I actually just recently, earlier this month, went to a thing called BookNet Fest, and there were 3 authors there. There were multiple authors, but there were 3 authors doing this one panel, and one had been traditionally published, one did self-publishing, and the other went through an independent publishing house. And they discussed like the differences and the pros and cons between each of them. And the one that did self-publishing, for her, there were a lot of pros, but she was like, there was a lot of work. And she's like, you have say in everything. You have approval of everything, but you got to know how to do everything.
Yes.
So,
it takes a lot of skill sets to do it successfully, some of which are not my strong points. And I'm blessed in the fact that I have found a publisher and an imprint and an editor and an agent that I get along with. That's not always the case either. So sometimes people wind up self-publishing because things go wrong in those relationships too. And as of right now, all is well in my world there. So I know that I'm lucky to have that. But
so with How to Hang Witch and with Killing November, are either of these series in the works for becoming a TV or movie?
yes, but that's all I can say.
Are you able to say which one?
Both.
Both. Because I definitely want to watch this. This I think this I could see this like a show. I'm hoping it's a show.
Oh, well, thank you. I will say that recently How to Hang a Witch has had a lot of movement, and that I was asked to write a synopsis for a 3rd book that doesn't exist. So there's that, but that's all that I can really say about it, other than there's been no announcement, so it's not my plate, fortunately.
I would like to see How to Hang a Witch as a movie, and I'd like to see Killing November as a TV series.
See, you say it like that, and I would like it the opposite way. Because How to Hang a Witch, I feel like, would be more successful as a TV show because of shows like Sabrina, Charmed, and stuff like that. Killing November, I feel like, being a thriller kind of movie, I feel like it would be really cool to see that take place in a big theater production.
I could totally see this, like, broken up into little.
I can see that too.
For TV, like this.
How about both just be TV shows and then they can cross over?
But this more TV show than the other, in my opinion. But the other would be good as a TV show too.
My preference would be to do something streaming, because so much of, I think, my audience would have access to that. Less people
Netflix or something.
Yeah, less people have cable these days than, and most people don't watch things at any scheduled time, so they have to know it exists.
You like to binge watch?
A lot of people like to binge watch.
Yeah, I love
it. If and when I actually watch anything, I binge watch it. Like,
yeah.
And then I'll binge watch it over and over and over again.
And usually the only things that I do watch are things that are a book first. And I've had to finish the book before I will watch whatever. So, yeah, like I've never watched an episode of Game of Thrones because I haven't read the books. As Clint knows, I avoided spoilers for 15 years on the Harry Potter movies.
She really did. I'm still trying to figure out how she did that.
I don't know how you did that either.
I actually did a Potter Watch read along, and every month we did a book and the movie and then talked about the differences. But up until that point, I had never read or watched any Harry Potter, and anytime anybody ever talked about it, I was like, la 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 la.
Me and Zoe were having so much issues with some of those live shows going, what are we allowed to talk about? Where does this take place? I don't remember if that's in this book or the next.
Yeah, I remember watching every single one of those movies as they came out in theaters. That was so fun.
Yeah, I think I watched like
Me too.
the first one, and that was it. I think I watched the first one, and then I was like, I want to read the books before. And then as time went on, people would talk about the big differences between the book and the movies, and so I just kind of like, I'm going to wait and I'm going to read the books, and I just never got around to reading the books until my son was 12, and then we read them together.
Oh, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was his first time. I mean,
which is why she enjoyed Cursed Child, unlike the rest of us who were told Cursed Child was going to be the 8th book, and we were expecting an 8th book, not fan fiction.
Right.
But she went into it knowing it was going to be like fan fiction-y, so she got to enjoy it better.
Yeah.
So
and I got to go watch the play in New York, which is awesome.
Ooh, that is nice.
Yeah.
I've heard it's good.
Okay, back to writing for a second. Is there any advice you would give those of us that are wanting to write a book or get a book published and stuff like that? Is there anything you would give us advice-wise? I can't word today.
So the first thing is finishing. That's the hardest thing. Is I would not worry about the problems so much. Like it's easy to get stuck in the details and to just go back over the first few chapters over and over. I mean, I still do it, but it's the finishing that's so important. So if you can get your idea on paper, then you can tear it apart, restructure it, pull it apart like a puzzle, no problem. But until you get it down, you can feel kind of overwhelmed by the book. So that's the first thing. But the second thing would be, don't be afraid to get rid of stuff if it's not working. Like that's another emotional issue for a lot of people, is like, they're like, I know something's wrong, but I love this part and I don't want to change it. And sometimes you just got to get rid of stuff that you love. That happens. And then having people that you really trust give you constructive criticism and listening. That's a big thing. I have a lot of people who give me feedback on my writing, and whether I agree or don't agree, I listen, because there's something going on with the story that isn't working for them. So I think those are the big things, but mainly just keep going. And if you find, this is another thing I get asked a lot about, that people will start writing and then they'll get some amount of pages in and lose interest or feel stuck. And I also get stuck sometimes when I'm writing. Not in the way of writer's block. I don't really believe in it, but in the way that I can't see how the story's moving forward. And every time this happens, it's because I have a plot issue. And that plot issue is usually some amount of pages back from where I get stuck, and it's caused the holdup. So I will go back by a couple of chapters and reread. I will try to locate the problem myself. If I can't, I'll have someone else read it, and they'll usually tell me, like, this chapter is a mess. And that's, once I fix my plot problem, I can keep writing. So I'd say that is the thing that can really throw a wrench in your writing, is feeling like you can't move on. And I'd say take a closer look at the plot.
All right. So do any of you that are watching this right now have any questions for Adriana? Please ask.
While we're waiting on that, because you mentioned earlier you've got 2 books that you're working on, is there any part of projects coming up that you want to talk about and like give us a little bit of things so that we know what's to come?
Good question.
So that's totally up to you if you don't want to share too much.
Well, these are so new that I'm not quite ready to talk about them because they're not fully plotted, which means that it can get confusing.
Yeah.
But I will say that one is very different from the things that I've written because it's a rom-com. And that
Sorry, I'm getting into rom-coms recently, so I'm like,
No,
yes.
it's happy rom-com. It's like in the vein of what 90s movies used to be, where
The best
get,
kind
like,
of rom-coms.
yeah, you should get a really good feeling, and maybe you get emotional a couple of times, but you leave feeling like the world is brighter. That's the type of rom-com it is. And the other one is Murderous Princesses. So, you know, right up my alley, blacksmiths and murderous princesses. So there's that's on brand for me. But
question: Are the murderous princesses part of the history from here?
no, different.
But I can see where you're going with that, though.
Different, but there are, I do have concepts that, for instance, with How to Hang a Witch, if I were to write a third book, I would write it about Sleepy Hollow, because my ancestors lived there. So yeah, so that is, I do have like a very general idea of a plot in my head if that winds up happening. And with Killing November, I would tell you, but it would spoil some things at the end of the book of the next one, so I can't do
But she has to kill you.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's but hunting is a lot of fun. Hunting November is a lot of fun because they get out into the world, but we do get to meet Emily, which was important to me. We get to meet Emily, and we also get to see Europe, but from, well, the UK specifically, but we get to see the UK from the perspective that you, like, a magical-ish perspective. Like, you see blacksmiths, and you see apothecaries, and you see Gothic inns, and you see underground medieval shops that got cut off when the city got replanned. You know, you get to see things that mostly exist there. They all really exist. It's just that it's picking out the parts of Europe that are super medieval and spooky, and then writing the story in those locations. So you should still feel like the Academy, just bigger and scarier and more conflict.
We actually have 3 locations.
We're both doing it.
We actually have 3 questions here for you. Berna asks, my question in Killing November, aside from the main characters, which character was most enjoyable to write about?
Probably.
I love Arya.
Yes.
She is a piece of work. She is so difficult, and you're never quite sure, and nobody really knows with her. And my favorite thing about her is that she surprises you, and continues to do so in book 2. So she is definitely one of my faves.
She's like a rose, and you never know if you're going to get stabbed with a thorn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In fact, she might stab you and then hug you. You know, you just don't know. You don't know with Arya.
Speaking of Arya, I want to throw this little thing in. As I said earlier about the hidden couple, I really want her and Inez together. Because I feel like Inez would be the only person that would truly know the real Arya. Because the way that their dynamic is. I feel like Inez would get the soft inside instead of the hard exterior. If that makes sense.
Well, in the part where it asks, who does Arya care about more, Felix or Inez?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I'm really curious to see what you think, Clint, after you read Hunting, because Arya plays a big role. So I'm curious.
I need more Arya. I don't know why, but I love her.
In the part where she's asking, November's asking Ash who Arya cares for more,
Oh, no,
Felix
for some reason
or
I can't hear you guys.
I don't know.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I caught half of that.
Oh, maybe signal or something. I don't know. What I was saying is in the part where November is talking to Ash.
Are you still there, Adriana?
I'm here and I
Okay.
can hear you, but
You're not hearing me?
yeah, I can see your mouth moving, so I know you're probably saying
Okay.
stuff.
What she was asking, or what she was bringing up, from what I get, there's that part in the book where she is asked who Arya cares more about,
Felix or Inez.
Felix.
Oh, yeah.
And she does say Inez.
Yeah.
Or alludes to Inez at least.
Yeah. 100%. That is, Arya is the type of person who doesn't trust anyone, and for some reason she trusts her. And so Inez is her person.
Can you hear me now?
Strangely, I don't know what's going on. Very weirdly, all of a sudden I can't hear Melanie.
All right, I'll just go ahead and ask the questions then.
Yeah, go ahead. That's so weird. Why can I hear Clint but not Melanie? I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea, because I can hear both of y'all perfectly. It's a good thing we have three of us.
I know, right?
Night Fear wants to know, will you continue writing YA, or will you write some adult novels too, or a middle grade to throw that in as well?
So strangely, I didn't really mean to write YA when I started writing. It just kind of happened. Like I fell into that tone and that pace and that storyline. And I will definitely continue to write YA. I will also write some adult. I don't know how to write middle grade, unfortunately. I just don't know how to do it. Maybe that'll change, but I also am curious to see what happens if I write an adult novel, because I have a feeling some people will be like, this sounds remarkably like these adults are 17.
Okay.
Real quick, hold on 1 second, Clint. I want to ask the viewers if they're able to hear me or if it's just Adriana.
Did you hear her by any chance, Adriana?
No, but I read, hold on 1 second, I want to add, and then that's all I got.
Okay.
All right, Clint, can you repeat what I said so they can, just in case the viewers are not hearing me, they respond?
I'm just curious, can y'all hear Melanie? And if you can't, let us know while we're trying to figure this out. Night Fear can hear you. So at least some of them can hear you.
Maybe it's just me, but that's so weird.
New software. We're still learning, people.
Yeah.
Okay. Our last question, or the next question I see here, is from Brittany Massey. When you're writing your characters, do you completely make up their personalities, characteristics, etc., or do you tend to base them off yourself or people you know?
I always borrow from people I know, because it makes more complex characters, but it's always tidbits. So it'll be like mannerisms or certain phobias or skills or something weird about speech, but the personalities I build out. So even though you might get like a hint of someone, you will never be like, oh, that's the person that this person is. With the exception of Mrs. Merriweather, who has a lot of similarities with my mom.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, she's the one exception. Yep.
Speaking to play off of that question, when you were writing Killing November, did you know the outcome, or did the characters write the outcome themselves? Like, did you know who was going to be that ultimate twist to break all of our hearts, or did said character just start to develop as you wrote I'm trying to not give away spoilers for those that haven't been here. So I'm trying.
Right. I always have to know who, because it's with mysteries and thrillers, you kind of have to write backwards. You have to know what your ending is, and then you have to plot backwards so you can leave clues for people. That makes sense. But I never know my endings 100%, because even when I think I know them, I write them and I hate them. And then I rewrite them 50 times. So it's a little bit of both. Even though I know who's involved and I know who the bad guys are, I also never have 100% clear ending until I do it.
Well, that's good. I feel like, that was another thing. I wanted to ask you questions that were asked to November, and I'm kind of curious what your answers would be to them.
All right. Go for it.
Where it goes, which level of balance most accurately describes you? The ability to walk a ledge, a tree branch, or a tightrope? If you had to answer if you were part of this world.
Oh, if I was part of the world, I was gonna say for me, like I need a big ledge, like not even a tiny one. Like I need like a lot of space, because I really have no interest in falling. I'm definitely not balancing on a tree branch, although I would climb a tree if I felt like it was if I was being chased by something, probably. But yeah, if I was in that world, I'd be dead. Like I would not survive. I'm so clear about these things. It's like I would not survive the zombie apocalypse. I would not survive my own books. Forget it. I sleep with a nightlight.
I mean, like, think about me though. I'm too loud. I can't hide. I'd be the first one dead.
You and I would not do well. We would have to try to escape.
My Slytherin self would do very well, I think.
My Hufflepuff heart though wouldn't be able to survive.
No.
Okay, nighttime or daytime?
Daytime for me. As I said, I sleep with a nightlight, so I'm pretty scared of the dark. I don't think it helped that I grew up in a place that didn't have like a lot of street lights, so you would drive down the roads in the pitch black. Like as a teenager, I would drive down the roads and I would be like, horror movie, like there's a ghost, something's gonna pop out, like definitely something bad is gonna happen.
Some of those in Oklahoma.
Yeah, because it was too dark. It was just so dark and so many trees.
Okay.
Yeah, walking next to trees in the dark is just it's kind of creepy, because you just know something's coming out of those trees at you.
Which of your senses would you say is the strongest?
I would say I would say sight, but only because of observation. The reason I'm able to write mysteries and thrillers, and the reason that I was able to write this book in particular, is because I pay so much attention to the little things that people do, like in a way that it's almost creepy. Like I log details about mannerisms and
like
things that people avoid, or it's odd. I've always done it, but since I started writing this series, I do it more. And I can tell when people are lying sometimes now, because I had to take a lying class online in order to write the deception class.
Like Ash. She can't hear me still.
Like Melanie was saying, kind of like Ash.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you rather climb a tree, go out to sea, or be pain-free?
Like kind of none. Like I don't really want to climb a tree, although I would. Like why not? And going out to sea, after I wrote the Titanic, it seemed a lot less romantic to me. So, and be pain-free, I feel like that doesn't exist. And if you picked it, you would be telling people that, you were afraid of pain.
See, I would totally say go out to sea. I was literally singing Under the Sea while I was under the sea yesterday.
Okay, she's saying that she would rather choose go out to sea because when she was scuba diving yesterday, she was singing under the sea while she was under the sea.
Ooh, that's nice. Well, go out to sea in that respect. In a tropical island, yes, go out to sea for sure. As long as there are no biting fish. That's all that I just, yeah.
Okay, the rest of these questions I would ask them, but we don't participate in those kind of like staminas and all of those questions.
Oh, yeah, we're not.
You have to be part of that world to finally get like an answer.
Yeah.
But would you, if you were in that room and you know nothing, would you have eaten the food? If someone had offered you food, would you have eaten the food?
I totally would have, especially warm bread with butter and jam. I would have been like, oh, food. Like,
I love how my fat ass here normally would choose the food, but after getting to that school and knowing that I was probably drugged, I'd be looking at that food going, what's that?
But me, I would be like, bread.
Thank you, Jillian. Jillian said, nice shirt.
Oh,
Inside joke.
I noticed.
Night fear ass.
The funny thing is, oh, sorry, Melanie. I thought that I was going to be able to use my laptop, but it couldn't find my camera. So I don't know what was going on. But so instead, I am wearing a t-shirt and my pajama pants. So that is hilarious, which you can see, which I did not intend, but there we go. Life of a writer, like putting on a shirt, but staying in your pajama pants.
See, I just got home from work. So I'm like, I walked through the door and I switched my work shirt real quick. And I'm like, and I'm going to sit half uniform, half not.
Yeah. So we're all people, right?
Okay. Night Fear wants to know, what is your favorite genre to read? And do you have a recommendation? I'll add that part to it too.
Oh, good question. Okay, a book that I've read recently that I really enjoyed that's new is When the Sky Fell on Splendor. It's by Emily Henry. And if you enjoyed Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, that's the book that you recommended to me back in March.
You would enjoy that. Yeah. And that came out this year.
That.
I haven't read a lot of new stuff because my just time issues. Like if I have any time, I'm writing. So the only time I can read is like with a book light at night after my kid went to sleep. So it's like not, I don't get as much reading time as I used to. But I love to read things that are in the light category, like light fantasy, light science fiction, all the things that have enough grounding in the real world that I think that they could actually happen. Yeah, exactly. Yep. But enough magic and fun to make you feel like you're in another place. Or atmosphere, like some people do it by town, like a really cool town. That would be fine with me too.
Tell her that I recommend Going Bovine by Liva Bray for her.
Melanie recommends you read Going Bovine then.
Ooh, okay. All right. I will read it.
Okay.
Oh, can we pause for just a second? My kid is crying. My baby he's napping. So yeah, so go ahead, speak amongst yourself. I'm just gonna put this phone down. I shall.
Okay.
You know what? I just realized I can mute her mic. I wonder if she accidentally muted my mic on hers.
I don't know because I can't. Hold on.
Are you able to like mute me or anything?
I can only mute mine.
Oh. I don't know why she can't hear me.
Who knows?
Yeah, I was able to like mute her, so
I'm over here like trying not to give away like any spoilers for the book when I'm asking questions.
Oh yeah.
Because
Same.
I don't know who's read the book and who hasn't. So I'm just like, so such and such person.
Well, while she's away. Oh, is she back? Let me unmute her. Hello. Are you back? Oh, she can't hear me anyway. Why am I asking?
Yeah, you back?
I'm back. I'm going to have to go in a minute though because the baby is going to need me. So I apologize.
Give him hugs and kisses.
Well,
I wish you could
he
hear me.
doesn't sleep well without me, unfortunately. So
For anyone who doesn't know this fun fact, her son was born on my birthday, so my birthday twin. Just needed to throw that out there again.
yes, and you guys both have big personalities, so I feel like it's suited.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Both very lovable.
Oh.
I try.
Tell her I said thank you so much for joining us.
Melanie wants to thank you for joining us, and I do as well.
Oh, of course. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you guys for choosing my book, and thank you to everyone who read it. And I'm just really honored to be here with you all, and it's fun. It's fun to talk about books and writing and reading.
And tell her that she's also the first author that has done like an interview type thing on my channel, which is like really cool.
Melanie also wants to add you are the first author that has done anything on her channel with her.
Oh.
And you're also the first author that has done something, as far as I know of, with a readathon and coming on live shows like this. I don't really know of any other author that's done this for a live show to talk with the people who've done the readathon. So that's really cool too.
Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And that, it's important to me to be here with readers because the whole reason that I get to do what I do in the world is because of readers. So I'm always really grateful for them.
Jillian says in the comments that she'll see you soon.
Oh, yay. I'm super excited.
And Melissa at Night Fear was like, amazing books. I can't wait for the next ones, which I think we all know that that's my response to that too, because eventually this entire shelf will be just Adriana and James. Which, by the way, we need to shout out her husband's book comes out next year in June 30th, The Brave.
I read it. This is the funny part, is that he didn't want me to read his book until it was finished. And by finished, he meant like through a couple of rounds of editing. So everyone else had read his book and I had not. And I just read it and I fell so deeply in love with this book, which is a good thing because can you imagine not liking your husband's book? What a nightmare, right? It was so unbelievably beautiful. It was like the type of story that makes you cry, but makes your heart happy at the same time. Like you're like okay with crying because you're like, this is so beautiful that I don't mind at all. It's sort of like the a magical realism version of My Girl.
Oh.
Which is perfect because that just sums up James as a person.
Yeah, it's got so much heart.
Lovable.
Oh my God. I'm going to be talking about that book nonstop. Everyone's going to get really like frustrated with me, but I'm so in love with it.
Girl, everyone's going to get sick and tired of me talking about it. How many times do I mention Adriana's books in my videos?
Everyone.
On it. I don't do a single tag without at least one of them entering the tags. So.
You're such a dear heart. I so appreciate you, Clint. You are like you are one of the bright spots in the world. I'm glad that I know you.
You made me cry, girl.
And Melanie, thank you so much for having me. You show so much love for books and for authors, and I just, it means a lot. And so thank you guys. And I will hopefully see you soon with a different book. And yeah, and I'm going to go take care of a tiny wolf who needs me. My son's name is Wolf, so that wasn't weird.
Which I think is funny that you ended up naming him Wolf.
Oh yeah.
You had already decided it, and I gave you a stuffed wolf for him before we knew the name. I still think that was funny.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, okay,
So
bye,
give
you
him
guys.
hugs and kisses and loves. Tell your mama say hi.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you again for joining us.
Of course. Bye, you guys.
That was exciting.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Also, Jillian, I completely agree. We do need to start a fan club just for him because James gives like the world's best hugs in the world. Just saying.
Okay, so for those of you that are still here, hopefully most of you are still here, we now need to discuss for a few minutes our next readathon.
Hold on. Right before we get to that, I want to do something real fast. I was just about to mention it, but I wanted to see where you were going. I'm going to be posting my vlog on Monday, and I'm going to do a giveaway in my vlog. For anyone in the United States, because it's all I can do right now for what I'm going to be doing, when my vlog goes up, if you're following me, I want you to leave a comment of your favorite thing about the October season. And I am going to be doing a giveaway for Adriana's first 2 books in hardback.
You mean the fall season?
Fall season, October season, whatever, same diff.
October month and fall season.
Oh, well, okay. I can't word today, but I will be giving away How to Hang a Witch and Haunting the Deep to honor Adriana a little bit more because she's an amazing human being and everyone needs to appreciate everything. So my vlog will be up on Monday, and just comment down below your favorite thing about the fall season. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Now we can move on to the next.
Where do they need to comment that?
On my vlog that's posting Monday in the comment section.
Okay.
I'll leave that up for like a week. I'll leave that contest up for like a week, and then I'll decide someone.
My vlog won't be up for I don't know when because I got other stuff that's got to post. And I'm I don't know. I'm kind of scattered all over the place right now with all my travels. Okay, so next readathon. We haven't really worked out all of the details just yet. We're still got to work on that. We wanted to finish this one before we really worked out all the details for the next. Plus, it's just been crazy. But the next one we're going to be doing is for winter.
Wintertime reads.
Yes, wintertime reads. Like we've got our fall into reading. We've got our spring into reading. We had our summertime reads. Now we're going to have our wintertime reads. But because winter is, I think the first day of winter is December 21st. That's way, way too close to Christmas. And there's about 1 million Christmassy readathons going on at that time. We decided that our wintertime reads will be an entire month. So we're going to do a month-long readathon for the month of December. And we haven't figured out all the challenges just yet, but we have kind of a theme for our challenges other than, just it's winter, obviously, but it's something along the lines of the 12 challenges of Bookmas. Like on the 12th day of Bookmas, my true love said to me, read a book that's blah, blah, blah.
Or we also had the idea of naming the prompts after holiday-themed songs, which if you guys like that idea, we might go a little more that route. But we're not going to solely make this a Christmas-themed thing because we like to be open to every religion. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, there will be a prompt for Kwanzaa. If you celebrate Hanukkah, there will be a prompt for Hanukkah. Yule, there'll be a prompt for Yule, etc., etc. Because there's so many Christmas-themed readathons, and I've noticed that some people are like, well, I don't celebrate Christmas, so I can't do that readathon. So,
yeah, so we're gonna have like, it's gonna be all the different holidays. It's going to be winter stuff. It's not holiday related at all. But we're thinking like 12 challenges. What?
I'm like, and I've been picking up books recently just for this readathon, even though I don't know if they'll fit in the challenges yet.
And
like winter themed. Here you go.
And though we don't have anything finite yet, there are things in the works for us to possibly do something like we did with Adriana's book. And we're going to attempt to pick a group book that will also have the author come and join us for a live Q&A type thing, like we did with Adriana's book. So I'm really, really excited. I have a couple of people in mind for that. So we'll see how it works out. But we were really inspired by Adriana coming on here, and we thought we'd like to do that in the future for our other season-a-thon readathons. Anna says, book advent calendar.
Kinda.
Well, I'm totally making Marty do me a book advent calendar this year. I was like, just go on my Amazon wish list. I've got a billion things on there.
If only I could convince my boyfriend to do that, that would be awesome. But I doubt it. And I don't know if I want his book recommendations. He keeps trying to recommend me. He keeps trying to recommend me the Virgin Suicides, and I'm like, that just doesn't sound like something that appeals to me. Boy, sit your butt down.
Oh, but there is actually, I have found one subscription box that does like a bookish advent calendar thing, and I think they just did like 10 days or 12 days or something like that, and it was the Once Upon a Book Club subscription box. They did a bookish advent calendar, which I absolutely loved. It had like, I think it was 12 days. Yeah. And so there's like 3 gifts and then a book, and then 3 gifts and then a book, and then 3 gifts and then a book. And each thing was wrapped up, and it was a lot of fun. And there's like a little story that went along. It's on my channel. You can like search my videos.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about now. Yeah. My brain was slowly catching up. I was like, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I did a video where I went through and like read all the little stories and opened the gifts and showed them. So I'm totally going to, like, if I can get Marty to make me my own awesome bookish advent calendar thing, I'm totally going to do that and post it all on a video.
Okay, seeing as we're talking about readathons, is there anything about this readathon that we did this time around, because this is our second time doing the second round, is there anything that you guys really loved a part of our readathon, or is there something that you think we need to work on, come to like prompts and stuff like that, that we could work with our following readathon stuff and make sure, we want to make sure this is the best readathon for you guys. As long as you guys are having fun, that's why we're here. We are doing this just to remember our love of books and have lots and lots of fun and get into the feelings for every season, even though I hate summer because it's way too hot. So
it's our second round of fall under readathon. Yeah. It's our 5th round of season-a-thon.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have recommendations for fall, or if you have recommendations for the next one, which would be the winter one, let us know. We're also trying to stick with, doing like our week for our spring and our fall, and then
summer and winter possibly being a full month. We're going to see how it works with this one. And if it works well, we may turn summer into the same, because when we did summer, we noticed that there was quite a few readathons that did overlap with us, and it might just be fun to spend the whole summer or not the whole summer, but like a month celebrating summer.
Well, I think last summer we did like a 10-day thing, something like that. But yeah, if y'all have any
books that you guys would love to see as a group read or something for the upcoming readathons, no matter the season, because we may take that list and we may think, because we read How to Hang a Witch in Spring, so let's be honest.
That was totally Clint's doing.
Which is why she gets to pick the spring book for next year, hopefully. Unless we do an idea that I have that kind of revolves around this whole Adriana idea. But that you guys have any recommendations that we could take into consideration.
Or prompt ideas or any of that.
Yeah, prompt ideas. And if you don't have any now, just come back to her video later if you come up with one and just comment it below. We'll both keep an eye on this video and just be there to talk with you guys.
We love you guys too. Do you whip them together and then prompts for us to choose the rest of our books? Yes. Like this particular readathon, we had how many prompts did we have?
I have the prompts right in front of us. We had
one of them was the group read. And you could either choose to read the group book with everybody, or you could buddy read a book with somebody.
Because we understand that not everyone can get a hold of the group read, so we like the idea of buddy reading. And if you ever want to buddy read a book with us, more than likely, depending on the books they are, we'll probably buddy read a book with you guys. Because I love buddy reading. It gets me out of my comfort zone. And I've read some things like, I never thought I would like John Green. And now I've read 2 John Green books via buddy reading, and now I'm planning on reading his whole everything. One of which would work for winter. I'll have to put that on the list.
Yeah, I've done a lot of buddy reading. Sometimes I'm buddy reading like 2 or 3 books all at the same time. Which kind of fries my brain.
Girl, you got all the buddy reads. How many readathons am I co-hosting now? I'm like, I've got to be on point for all of them. But they're so much fun. Speaking of, if you want a fun readathon, check out the I Put a Spell on You readathon coming in October.
I actually already filmed my TBR for that. And I just haven't gotten it edited. It's supposed to post on the 30th of this month, but I don't know if I'm going to get it done because I'm on vacation. But it's
that's okay. Our readathon doesn't start till the 17th, so
it's my whole month-long readathon, and I put the spook. I'm doing spookathon, and I put a spell on you readathon. Obviously, I'm doing Sarah Sanderson.
Yay! Muck. Oh, okay. And Melissa, I wrote that down.
The 57 bus. Never heard of it.
I am going to have to look that up later. This girl is doing 6. Oh my God, I know, Melissa, you do way too much. She sees a readathon and she's like, I got to do that one too. And I got to do that one. So some months it's like she's doing like 17 readathons all at once.
I have done that before. It was
I'm like, you go, girl. All the props to you.
I did that February, not this February, but last February. And I read the most books I think I'd ever read in a single month in that month. And I was like, this is ridiculous because it's February. It's the shortest month, and I've read the most books I've ever. I think I read 30 books this month. It was ridiculous.
To answer your question, Anna, how many books do we average per month? I think it really depends on the month. Hi!
It's my mama!
But It depends, because on average, I've read 2 books in 1 month, and then there was a month where I read 36. So it depends on my reading mood and how my depression and anxiety goes. So,
my range goes probably from 15 to 25 a month. Probably closer to like the 18 to 20, though.
also,
Yummy.
for you, Mel, I found a graphic novel that I'm ordering on payday. The Cheshire Crossing.
Okay.
Dorothy, Alice, and Wendy team up to
Oh, that's
defeat the
right.
Wicked Witch and Captain Hook.
That sounds amazing.
I read the little bit that they have on Amazon. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I'm wanting to buy it and love it, because some of its stories and accuracies, like she still has the silver slippers, and I'm like at the end of book 1 of Wizard of Oz, she loses the silver slippers and they're never to be seen again, and I'm like, what? And the fact that Alice has black hair and Dorothy has darker skin, it's kind of throwing me off, but whatever. It's written by the dude who wrote The Martian, Andy Weir.
Huh.
I'm kind of intrigued.
Crossover there. I would not have. I thought you were going to say something like written by the person that wrote I Hate Fairyland or something.
No. It's like Andy Weir, and I was like, what? I saw a, oh God, what's her name? The one that used to be known for Tag Tuesday, the one that kind of started Tag Tuesday.
Alley.
She's reading it next month, and she showed it up in her video, and I was like, what is that? I need that in my life.
What's it called?
Cheshire Crossing, like the Cheshire cat, and then it's just crossing. And I'm like, Amazon has it for like $8, which is like, it's like $8.90 something for a graphic novel. Not bad.
I wonder if it's like really short.
Let me pull it up, because it's in my cart right now.
So I've been trying to read like a book for each challenge, though nobody has to actually do that. You can totally combine your books and your challenges. If I did that, I think I'm already complete all of my challenges.
It's 128 pages.
Huh?
It's 128 pages.
I think that's approximately close to the size for I Hate Fairyland or something like that.
I think so too. I think I Hate Fairyland's like 132.
Yeah. So yeah, I think as far as the actual challenges and the books that I plan to read for these challenges, I only have one more that I need to read, and that's Sheets, which is a graphic novel.
The only one that I have to read is The Wedding Date, because it's the only one I have with the beverage on the cover. But if I was to not read any others, I can move some around.
I don't even remember what the challenge was for Sheets. I have to look at my little paper.
Corn, double, Toil and Trouble, pumpkin spice latte, trick or treat, or I want s'mores. I think it's your I want s'mores.
I think it is my I want s'mores. Yeah, because it's like a sweet friendship.
Also, I highly recommend this book.
Once a Witch.
I read it for my witch because I started Grace's, but at the time my brain couldn't focus and it wanted kind of like a light, fun read. And that's what this gave me, because this is like old YA paranormal and technology. So if I could read its sequel, Always a Witch, I'm going to for my sweet read. But I'm not going to push myself, because if I read I'll have 4 read, because these are the 3 that I've finished. Because Killing November counts for a thriller, so I'm counting it for my thriller.
Oh, absolutely.
And then The Hating Game, I counted it for Candy Corn. Yeah.
I read The Hating Game not too long ago, and I absolutely loved it.
I gave it a 4.5. It would have got a full 5 if it wasn't for the fact that I had to stop the book and find the audiobook, because I was reading the characters in a different way in my head. and they sounded a lot snarkier, and I almost DNF'd the book because of it. But I ended up like, once the audiobook was talking, I was like, well, that's not how I thought she said that.
My mom is doing something. So do you guys have any questions for us before we say goodbye for the time being?
It is a true story about a gender person who gets ooh, girl, I don't know now. Ooh, that sounds like that's gonna be really hard hitting. Ooh. She just told me what the bus was about.
Oh.
It's a transgender person gets set on fire.
There's a book somebody mentioned.
The bus is hard hitting, so you get hit by a bus.
Well, no, I get that. I'm slow, okay? No, she said something about a transgender gets set on fire.
Ooh.
And it's based on a true story, and I'm like, I just had a friend come out to me as transgender, and I'm like, I don't want to see my sister like that.
Yeah, don't want to imagine anybody on fire.
No.
It's really worth it. I will have to read it, but if I picture it as my said sister, then we might have issues because I don't want to see that planet get set on fire. That's the closest you're going to get to the hint of the person. If you've watched previous readathon live shows, like for spring, then you'll know who I'm talking about.
This is my mama.
Oh, not transgender, agender. Oh, okay. That works. Y'all having fun
Yes.
in the Beach Boys song?
I just found a place that sells frozen key lime pie that's chocolate coated on a popsicle stick.
Yes.
What?
We're going to have to go get some here in a little bit.
Key lime pie is my all-time favorite.
Same.
It's dipped in chocolate on a popsicle stick
And frozen, you eat it like a popsicle.
It's not frozen. It's refrigerated, cold. Yeah.
It's like you eat it like a popsicle.
I need
good.
in my life.
They're made down here.
Why doesn't Oklahoma ever have anything good? Why am I in the middle of bumfuck Egypt?
Good tornadoes.
Every May. Oh my God. And even Night Fear loves key lime pie. So it's like, this is why we're all friends.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to go and eat some key lime pie and get on with some reading and some scuba diving. And I think she's going to show you pictures. Mm-hmm. And somebody says, I love key lime pie. Key lime pie is like my favorite. Key lime pie and chocolate cake with chocolate icing. Those are my favorite.
Key lime pie, cheesecake, pumpkin pie.
I like cheesecake.
Spice cake.
Desserts are my favorite.
Anything ending in cake or pie works for me.
See, I've already decided that whenever I get married, I don't care what my spouse or whoever I'm marrying says. Our wedding cake is going to be a spice cake, and our groom's cake is going to be a 7-layer cheesecake with different flavors on each layer.
I don't know if you can see this. See that pie on a stick.
That looks delicious.
It's a dark. It's a thick. It's not a thin shell of chocolate. It's like almost like fudge coated. And if you eat it outside,
the ice cream bars, Magnum. That's
we
what
also
you
get
think
that.
Oh.
This is what we have.
Oh, that looks delicious. Y'all making me hungry.
It looks like something out of a gourmet magazine, doesn't it?
It does.
That's in a like styrofoam container.
Yeah.
But y'all making me hungry. I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm gonna have to go make dinner here in a minute.
Somebody says anything fattening works for me, and another person said I'm starting to feel hungry and it's close to midnight. Oh no.
I wonder, should we have a food like More
That's
food
same-
talk.
It's the same shop that has the key lime pie on a stick. Those are all handmade candies. They sell ice cream too.
I'm going to need to go on a vacation now
Key West.
just for food.
Hey, okay, you know what? You and I, we need to do a trip to like Orlando, hit up Universal, maybe do some Booknet Fest, drive on down to Key West,
Or
Lime Pie.
we could also plan a trip up to Salem for Adriana's next book release.
That's right outside the door here. See the
That's not fair. You look outside my door, you see planes. Like nothing. Or you look down the street, you see a casino.
There's palm trees and boats and water.
Next year, you'll understand when you make your little road trip, when you come to Oklahoma, there's nothing. Especially where I live, there's nothing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Well, we should probably end this here.
Mhm.
I know a lot of times we have our ridiculously long.
This time we did stick to our structure until Adriana went home. Until Adriana left.
Yes, but we've also only kept it to an hour and 46 minutes, which is 2 hours shorter than we normally do. So.
Yes.
My
But
mom.
thank you guys for joining us. It was lots of fun. And for those who didn't get to come see the live show, it will be on Melanie's channel, right? So that you could come and watch it whenever, and I will share it everywhere so everyone can experience more amazing Adriana, because she's precious.
She was great, and I wish you
Y'all
could
should go see her
have
movies.
heard me at the end talking.
Y'all should go see her movies. Honey Glue, Eat Spirit Eat, and We Are Boats.
boat.
Yes. They're indie films, and she stars in all three, and her husband is the director and producers of all three.
Oh.
So, but with Honey Glue, you make sure you have a tissue box handy, because I cried for 5 hours afterwards, and I texted her and told her, how dare she make me watch this film.
All right, love all you guys.
Now,
If you like this video, please give us a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. Also, go over to Clint's channel and click his subscribe button. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye.
bye. Now, how do we end this?